Hello, this is LindaLee and welcome back to my channel. I wanted to come back and kind of talk a little bit more about junk journals. And now that we kind of know with my first real YouTube video what a junk journal is, kind of how to start in making one. Now, there is no right or wrong. Everything that I show you or tell you is just my interpretation. So that's the really cool thing about this whole thing, is there isn't any right or wrong. I'm just going to give you a little bit of guidance and kind of take you along a project with me. And though on my channel there'll be lots of projects, some that'll be directly junk journals, some of them it'll just be stuff that you put in the journal, and some will have absolutely nothing to do with the journal. But I kind of didn't want too much time to pass before I put out another journal. I'm feeling much better. My whole household has been down with the flu. Just regular flu, nothing crazy, this COVID-19, but we're all doing better. It's just a matter of, keeping ourselves safe and healthy, washing our hands just like everybody else, and kind of staying home as much as possible. So, what I wanted to do is, I'm not sure how dark, is that bold enough? I'm going to catch up and see if the feed shows, because I'm going to write some stuff down. We're going to make a little outline. I guess you can see it pretty good. This is going to be a little bolder though. Yeah. All right. So, this is what I first wanted to tell you. Junk Journal Junkies. Junkies. ETC. This is the group that I told you I'm a member of. Junk Journal Junkies, ETC. The ETC is pretty important, at least to get to where I'm at. And a lot of the girls that are our friends and that might be, kind of part of the conversation as I do stuff. I will put the link in the description once we start, or once I load this up. But I just wanted to make sure that I wrote that so you could see it, because the ETC is pretty important to get to where I'm at. Now, I've said that a couple of times, and I apologize if I do repeat myself or if I go off a little bit astray. Like I said, I'm getting well, and I think I'm still dehydrated because my thought and focus just isn't quite what it normally is. But anyway, how do you get started? This is one of the things that I want to address. How? Okay. So, a lot of folks like to start with the pages. Some people start with the cover. But even before that all starts, you really have to give a thought to a theme. Okay, what is your journal going to be about? Not necessarily about, but what are what's the story that your pages are going to tell? Is it going to be related to the beach? Is it going to be related to travel? And then that way all of the different components that you pull in are somewhat related. Now, there doesn't have to be a theme. You can just wing it and just pull all the things that you like. But that's a theme too, because now it's all your favorite things. Even though they may not be connected to somebody else looking at it, it's connected for you. So, I have a project in mind that I want to do. Somebody asked me to make a journal, and I'm not going to probably give too much detail because that individual that it's for is probably going to be watching these. So I may not give too much on the theme, just because I don't want to give it away, because the journal is going to be a surprise ultimately. But theme-wise, and then the next thing that I take into account is my size. How big do I want it to be? Now, the easiest way to make a journal is to make it the half size of a regular photocopy paper. So what's that, 8.5 by 11? Or 8 by 11. So when you fold it, that's when we're looking at, like the size. So here's a piece of copy paper. So if I fold it in half, now here is some of the components that are going to make up my signature. So if I have a whole bunch of these to sew in, and then I make a cover for this. So I think this is about the size that I'm going to make for the very first one that I'm going to do in these series of videos. So it's an 8.5 or an 8 by 11. I don't even know for sure what the size is, but you guys all know what a photo size piece of paper is, or photocopy, ditto paper, copy paper, whatever. But this is the size that I decided I'm going to make. Now, once you decide on the size, then we're going to look at the cover. Is it going to be a hard cover or a soft cover or something in between? So by hard cover, when we talk about hard cover, we're talking about a book, so like this here. This is a book with a hard cover. All right. So if I were to use this as my cover, then that would work fairly well with my papers, and depending on what I pull in, they can actually be a little bit bigger, and it would be just fine, because my folded piece of paper kind of works just great. Now, if it was a soft cover, by soft cover that could be fabric, it could be plastic or vinyl. I've seen people use placemats where they folded them and cut them down. But it could also be something like I was saying in between. So cardboard. So now we're looking at boxes. This here is a Townhouse cracker box. Okay. And so like this here is a cupcake box that I've already cut the ends off of. So these little tabby things have already come off. And to make this into a cover, basically I could just cut these parts off. So I'm just going to cut this right here. If I can get into the cardboard. There we go. And then cut this piece here. And I would have my cover already. See? So this is pretty much the same size, but now the cover is a little softer, so it's going to have a little more flexibility. We might have to beef up the back a little bit to support the individual signatures, but I would have this as well. But you can use any kind of size of box too. So the Townhouse box is a little bit heavier. I have a couple of cereal boxes, Lucky Charms. So say I wanted it to be bigger, not necessarily the size of a folded page. this box here would work as well. But I could cut that down too. I have pasta boxes, macaroni and cheese boxes, so this one would be a smaller one. And if the macaroni and cheese labeling is distracting, that there it is without. See? You could even, it doesn't even have to really have a bind or a spine to it. This is just shredded wheat. We eat a lot of different cereal here. But this is just folded in half. And this could be a single signature journal. And it could just have your paper sewn right into the crease. It doesn't even need to have a whole spine. So again, there's lots of different ways to do it. There again is no right or wrong, and you're going to probably see me do it a whole bunch of different ways throughout the course of time, because I kind of like to do it all. But for this particular one, I'm going to set all those boxes aside. I want to use the hardcover. I have a particular reason why. Mostly because I want this is really actually pretty cool. It doesn't have anything really on the outside of it, so that the person that I'm giving it to can do their own artwork. I may cover it, but at the same time, I'm not so sure I'm going to. You know, I think that I might just leave it for this person because, you know, from what I understand, they have a little bit of talent themselves, and they might want to, you know, make some artwork and decorate. So that's really, this here is for the most part kind of all you really need to start. And you don't even really have to figure it out ahead of time. You can kind of just go with it and see where it all takes you. Excuse me. But having a theme, an overall size, and what kind of cover you want to start with. Those are the things that, you know, I keep in my brain when I'm about to start one. So now that I'm going to do this book, what I'm going to do is I'm going to gut this. So I'm going to use the cover for this book, but I'm not going to necessarily use the pages and alter the pages. I'm going to put my own pages in. Now that is something that you can actually do, though, is alter the pages. You can take some out, you can glue them together. I am actually going to remove the inside of this book. This is an X-Acto knife I have from way back in my college days. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut this book so that all of this is going to come out. Now, usually when I purchase a book, if I have something like that in mind and I find the perfect book, I get them at the Dollar Tree because they're only $1, but they have a lot of different sizes that you can possibly choose from. Also, too, a lot of the books there are not necessarily glued real well, so they come apart fairly easy, kind of like this one is right here now. So I'm just kind of pulling the binding out and pulled all the glue away. Now I'm going to just go ahead and slice this here so that the guts of the book will come out. Now, don't ask me why. A lot of you know that I am left-handed. However, I'm doing this right-handed, and I don't know why. I just realized that I am. So it's kind of crazy. Excuse me. All right. So now these pages can actually be used in the construction and making of this book. So what I'll more than likely do is pull some of them out and let's see. What I'm actually going to do is probably coffee stain the majority of the pages that I'm going to use in this book. One of the things that you want to pay attention to is the words in your book. Make sure that the pages that you select don't offend anybody. A lot of books have a lot of graphic imagery that's described, or swear words, just little things to keep in mind. So here is a lot of dialogue, and I just don't want to potentially offend. I don't think there's anything I could put in this book that would offend this person, but at the same time, it's something that you want to think about when you're using text. Now, a safe thing to use if you're using text, you can always use dictionary or encyclopedia pages. Just something to keep in mind. So what I'll probably do is this is going to be 2 signatures. Sorry. So 2 signatures. Just by folding it in a little bit, it'll make it a little broader across the back. So I just took it from a 1-inch spine to like a 1.5-inch spine, just by doing what I just did, kind of the inlet, instead of taking that, just pushing that flat. And what I'll do is I'll probably cut a piece of cardboard that'll fill in that whole space, so that it'll accommodate for 2 good size signatures. So now that I've got my cover and I know the size of the pages, what I'm going to do is I'm going to start pulling from other papers that I actually have. Excuse me. I have an envelope that I can use. So what I'll probably do with this is fold it in half. It's going to fit inside that cover, but I'm going to coffee stain it. I have some other papers. This is placemats from a restaurant that has a little bit of embossing in it. I don't know if you can kind of see the embossing a little bit or not, if it's casting a little bit of a shadow. But I have 2 of these, so I have 1 for each signature. So I'm going to coffee stain those. I have a whole bunch of copy paper. I have regular lined paper. Now this came out of, you know how they have the fabric stitching? All I did is I used like a seam ripper, and I pulled all the threads. So that's why these are fairly intact. Now the pages themselves are a little wider than I need them to be, but I'm not going to trim them down because some of them I might just fold till after I do my coffee staining. This here I'm going to put with my cereal boxes though, because this could very easily be a cover to a different journal. So, or a signature or something like that. Now this is another one of those books that have stitched in pages, but these are neon papers. Now I'm not sure if I'm going to use these neon papers because I kind of have a color scheme in mind as well, and this isn't any of those colors, but it might be fun to throw some of these papers in. So I think what I'll do is I'm going to pull a couple of each color and see how they take to the coffee dyeing, and then kind of go from there. There's 2 and 2. Now I won't use all of them, but anything that you don't use in this one will potentially go in your next one. And then there's all kinds of things we do with our scraps too. So anything that doesn't get used will eventually get used. I already pulled some of the pages out of this little pad here that I'm going to coffee stain. I actually pulled a few pages out of a graph paper pad and a journal pad. So I have journal papers. Now these papers are all things that I've kind of collected from what I already had in my house. But at the same time, when you go to your flea markets or a Goodwill store or any kind of yard sale, and you see partial pads that might be 25 cents, 50 cents, whatever, that's a really good source of material for this type of thing. So I pulled some of those pages. I've got some regular drawing paper that is going to be the right size. I think it might be a little wide, but I'm not going to, again, trim anything down until after I coffee stain it. Because if I don't use it all, then it's a bigger size for me to kind of figure it out as I go along. So I have a lot of paper here already. I do have to grab some. I have some file folders, so I can use these for signature covers if I wanted to. These are old ones. Cardboard from doilies. I think I got these at the Dollar Tree. So this has got a nice cool little pattern to it, and it's, you know, white on one side, so I can glue paper to it, whether it be coffee stained or pattern paper. I might put in, I have some construction paper. I haven't decided if I'm going to use any of this yet, but I do have some of that to choose from. So I got a bunch of stuff. It's just a matter of now doing my coffee dyeing so that my pages are distressed, and then, you know, pulling pages and papers and sorting them. I can get coffee filters and doilies, and I'm probably going to pull a few pages out of this Once Upon a Time stack. This is one of my favorite stacks, and the one that I used when I made, excuse me, the book that I showed briefly in my What is a Junk Journal. This is the stack of papers that made up that book, and its signatures, the inside outside of the cover. So there are some papers in here that I want to use. Let's see if I can find it real quick. No. They're kind of, there we go. So these pages, I have a couple of this page in here. I like, this is kind of the color theme and scheme that I'm going to go with. So I don't know if I'm going to coffee dye all my pages, or I also have some avocado water in my refrigerator. So when you eat your avocados, save your skin, save your pit. Let me write this down. Avocado water. Sorry. Avocado. To create an avocado dye, you just want clean skins and the stone, the pit. I think you actually get more color out of the pit than you do just the leaves. But the easiest way to do it, because you don't have to boil it for a long time, is bring your water to a boil. I use, oh, excuse me, I don't even know how to spell boil. Bring a regular little saucepan. So it doesn't even have to be a huge pan to get a couple of water bottle sized amounts. Bring a saucepan to a boil. Put in the skins, put in the pit, make sure it's still up to a boil, and then let it steep. You don't have to boil it for hours and hours. It really only has to steep. And the brighter color you'll get is from not over boiling. Okay, I do a lot of eco dye, and from what I've found is the more vibrant in color for avocados is not the boiling process. It's the steeping afterwards. Okay, so what I do is I bring my water to a boil, I add in my skins, I let it boil in there for maybe a couple of moments or minutes, and then I turn it off, put the lid on it, and leave it there till the morning. So I do it at night at some point after dinner. And then in the morning, you're going to have colored paper or colored water that you can then use to do some dyeing. I will do a video on dyeing. In fact, I'll do that next because I don't want to just kind of jump and all of a sudden I have the colored papers here, because there's a lot of you who are newer in the group or just in general that maybe haven't seen it. You know, we all start at a different place. For a lot of people who follow me, especially a lot of the girls that are in my group already, the Junk Journal Junkies, etc., we've all done some kind of eco dyeing or used red cabbage. Red cabbage is fun, because if you boil red cabbage, if you boil red cabbage, you're going to get a purple water, right? That purple water you can add either baking soda to, or you can add vinegar to, white vinegar. All right, so white is important. So this purple water, you then add something else to it. This side turns blue, almost a teal in color. This is bright pink. Oh my God, I can't even spell. I need water. All right, so bright pink. Can you guys see that? Hopefully I'm in frame. So this you can boil. You don't have to boil it a long time because this red cabbage bleeds like crazy. So just be careful because it's going to stain whatever it touches. But that purple water from the red cabbage, by adding baking soda or white vinegar, you're going to get either a blue or a bright pink. Now, then you can use it to steep paper or to dip paper into and then color it. So, but we'll do a whole session on this part going down the road. I'll do it, but it's fun to play with. So if you happen to have a little bit of time, which we all do right now, and you have some of this stuff in your cupboard, you can play and you can influence, the color of paper. Now, the eco dyeing, I am going to do some eco dyeing as well. First, we're going to go through some coffee dyeing and do some avocado dyeing first. And then maybe I'll do an eco dye. I don't know. I'm just thinking out loud right now. And what I'm ultimately going to do is just end this video and link my group and Kelly Snow's Etsy store too. So that way y'all can kind of look around and see what's out there. A lot of us are doing our online shopping. I don't have anything in my Etsy store yet, so I won't link that. I have the store, but there's nothing in it right now. It's not even on vacation mode. It's just empty. So thank you for your patience while I'm coughing and my voice isn't quite normal. And the video process is a little different. I'm more normally used to doing lives right now, where there's people with me and chatter going back and forth. I think after I do the coffee dye, I will do the rest of them as lives. And so I have that interaction with people because I kind of miss it. I miss people, sending me hearts and laughing at my jokes, and not really that I'm funny, but you know what I mean, a little interactive. So we shall see. This is all kind of new, but I do want to get this posted, and I will see you in the next video where I think we're going to do some actual dyeing. It'll probably be tomorrow though. I need to rest my voice. So I'm actually surprised I haven't started coughing like crazy because I'm pretty dry. Thank you again for hanging out with me, and I appreciate your subscribing and sharing and helping me grow my channel. I'll talk to you again soon. Keep washing your hands, folks. I'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.